Hello, chat. Welcome back to First Page Feedback. I'm Pat Luther. I'm an independent science fiction and fantasy author, and this is First Page Feedback. It's an ongoing series in which I read the first page of a work in progress or a published work, or on weeks where nobody submits anything, something from the public domain, and I give my impressions and feedback, as the name implies. As worth any writing advice, anything I say here should not be taken as gospel truth. Also, I'm going to vary this a little bit. So for work in progress, I try to include notes on how it could be improved, which for a published work, that's not as necessary. It's too late. But I will give my feedback on things I think might be done differently, which, of course, is my opinion, and it should be taken as such. For a published work, including those in the public domain, my main focus is what I'm going to be able to learn from here, or, anything that's instructive, either good or bad, that can be learned from the page for other authors. And stuff that I can learn too. So I'll point that out. Today's story, anyway, is Cacaelians and Secrets by Angela Kern. And so without further ado, let us begin her story. Meow! I cracked one eye balefully. Brightness burned my retina. I yawned, jaw cracking painfully, and turned over onto my left side, appreciating that one blissful moment of peace accorded by a good night's sleep. It wouldn't last long. As my body woke, so would its enemy. But in this brief moment there was a reprieve. I savored it, luxuriating in the joy of simply feeling normal. A movement jostled the edge of the bed. A movement jostled the end of the bed. Good morning. A fuzzy black face appeared in my vision. Hot cat breath and kitty kisses. Ugh, stop, Samson, stop. My left hand left the warmth and safety of the covers to scritch his head while trying to avoid the jaws of doom. I failed, and he latched onto the meaty pad under my pinky, sinking in his teeth just to the edge of ouch. I pulled the covers off my face to glare at him. He relented, then gave a pitiful mew. Yeah, I know. You're starving to death. Poor baby. Jumping down from the bed, he padded off into the kitchen to wait. He knew the routine. Sighing, I resolved to get up. I started with my toes, gently wiggling them, feeling the tingle and burn begin. I stretched my arches and rotated my ankles. Pins and needles began flooding my feet. Gently, I stretched my calves. Ah, shit. Burning. Cramping. Charlie horse. Oh, God. Ow, 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 ow. Okay, it's easing. Thighs are okay. Hips are sore, achy, stiff, not too bad. Lower back, oh, that's really sore. Upper body and arms are okay today. Hands feel good. Neck turns freely, no pounding headache. My jaw was a little sore, and I had that tightness behind my eyes that meant a possible migraine later. But in the moment, I was good. I could move, nothing was excruciating. All of my parts were in working order. All of my parts? Better take advantage. I grinned to myself, reached over to my nightstand drawer, and pulled out Roger. His cheerful pink color and adorable bunny ears tickled my sense of humor as always. Pushing the button that got Roger's ears twitching, I licked my lips, anticipating the vibration. Nothing happened. Fuck. Meow. Fuck. And there we have it. That's the first page. So this is the first page of Cacaelians and Secrets. Did I mention it was by Angela Kern? So this is a published work. So let's talk a bit about this, right? Setting. First thing I want to say is one of the most quoted bits of wisdom that you will ever hear in writers' forums is never to start a story with the character waking up. It's been done a lot, and it's very rarely a good idea. In this case, though, I think that's it's not that you don't have that the character wakes up and looks herself in her mirror or something, so you get that physical description of her. This case, it's about the process the character goes through when she wakes up. So this is something that she does every morning, apparently. So this is her routine, and we're establishing that, and it's doing a lot of character establishing in this scene. So to every rule there is an exception, and I think this is one. So let's see, setting. Yeah, let's talk about setting. The kitty and kitchen establish it very quickly in our modern world, right? The idea of a house where you could walk from the bedroom to the kitchen where you keep your cat food, that's pretty close to now. If not now, then it's not any longer ago than about the 20th century. Maybe late 19th at the very earliest. But I suspect modern 21st century days. And speaking of kitty, so I'm just assuming this. I haven't actually researched this or looked this up. I don't actually know how old the word is, the word kitty. It sounds modern to me. So it could be like the Tiffany problem, right? Which, if you're not familiar with that, is a issue. Like Tiffany sounds like a very modern name. So if you have a story, say, set in the 14th century, and you name a character Tiffany, a modern audience will be jarred out of the story with the anachronism because it doesn't sound right there. The irony being, of course, that a 14th century audience wouldn't have a problem with it because the name Tiffany actually originates in the 12th century. So it's a much older name than it seems, but it doesn't seem old. So people will still have an issue. Or as one of the first readers, Ron Linné, as one of the first readers of an early draft of my first novel, put it, the truth is no excuse. So even though this is a real thing, you would still have to sell it. So if you want to use the word kitty in something set in, say, I don't know, the 15th, 16th century, or in a fantasy world even, you would have to sell it and explain why it's there. Not explain it, but, make us understand why it's there before you use it. So, and speaking of selling things, right, because you've got to convince your reader that you are telling them the truth, even when you're not. Especially, I guess, when you're not. So I like something that the author did here. It's a clever little trick that I noticed, and I didn't even notice this the first time I read through, but a couple of read-throughs while preparing this, and this really stood out. So this character, as she wakes up, she goes through a whole litany of pains, starting with pins and needle in the feet, to Charlie horse, to a few other minor aches and pains elsewhere, including an oncoming migraine. And then at the end of all this, she says, "Nothing was excruciating. All of my parts are in working order." Right? So nothing was excruciating. All my parts were in working order right there. So give you back to my notes. So by dismissing all these pains as basically nothing, she does two things. One, she does a better job of illustrating what a heavy pain would be like than she would if she actually described a heavy pain day. So by starting off with this not much, basically nothing going on here, which is still a lot of pain, it sounds like, it does a better job than describing what a heavy pain day directly would do. And also by not dismissing it, but by saying it's good, she reiterates the seriousness of it. By saying it's not serious, she reiterates the seriousness. So it doesn't look like the main character is just whining. It sounds like this is a major issue that she is dealing with and that she deals with on an ongoing basis, and does a good job with that, with doing this. And I think she chose very well here to do it that way. And again, of course, she reiterates as she reaches for the vibrator, which I think, if I was someone who used a vibrator, would be the last thing I'd want after waking up in that much pain. So yeah, if I got a migraine, the last thing I'm thinking of is masturbation. It's not, I don't want to move, let alone do anything. I keep saying that. Let's talk about world building. So the world building looks just like our world. I think this is set in our world. If there is any supernatural elements, they haven't surfaced yet. That is often the case, though, with contemporary fantasy. A lot of contemporary fantasy, the supernatural elements can take a long time to show up. So I read the back blurb of this book. I haven't read anything past this first page yet. I have the book, but I have not read any further than that yet. It's on my list. You know how that goes. I think there was a supernatural. I think this is an urban fantasy or a contemporary fantasy. can't swear to that though. So we'll find out. But so far, right now, the genre looks like it's just right here in our world. Okay, so what do we know about the character, right? Aside from someone who's used to chronic pain, which is a big deal, and she has a cat, we know that, we don't really know much about her. What does she want? How's she going to get it? What's going to get in her way other than her condition? We don't know. If anything, I mean, so all of these, maybe they're on page 2, but they haven't been raised yet. No real questions have been raised here, and there's no real sense of where the story's going yet. So right now what we do have is an interesting character, which you may be enough to pull a reader onto question 2, or onto page 2, which is where you want them to go after this, right? And then page 3, and then go to the front counter to buy the book. This is the goal here. So yeah, we don't know yet. A couple other issues: the profanity and the mention of the vibrator set expectations about what kind of book this would be, and some disagree with me a lot here. So this is, especially more than everything else I've said, my own opinion. But I think mentioning these kinds of things very early is a really good idea. Even on the first page, definitely want to put these things on the first page, so that. And my thinking of that is the people who will be turned off by that kind of thing can find out that this is the kind of book that has those in there, so they can put it back down and get something else. And the people who like those and want those in their fiction will say, great, these are in there, I want this book, right? So it goes both ways. Nothing is going to be appealing to every reader, so figure out who your readers are, figure out what they want, or find the readers who want what you have, what you're selling there. And I think that's about the end of this. So thank you very much for joining us. Once again, this was the first page of Cacaelians and Secrets by Angela Kern, and it is available for purchase now. There will be more links in the comments of the YouTube, so right down there. If you're watching this on YouTube and not live, and I don't think anybody's watching me live right now. No, so you are watching this on YouTube if you're watching this. And if you're not watching this, you won't hear me talking about it, so you won't know it, so never mind. Anyways, you can buy it in the, if you're interested in the book, you can find out more information about the book and the author in the description below. Also, if you're interested in your first page being featured here, or in seeing past first page feedbacks, go and see the links below there too, and all that's in there. Thank you very much for joining us, and good night.